Morning to all respected faculty members, scholars, and students. It gives me immense pleasure to introduce our distinguished guest for today, Dr. Shashi Bhushan Mehra, a renowned scholar in the field of Paleolithic archaeology and anthropology. Sir is currently teaching at the Department of Archaeology and Ancient History, the Maharaja Sayajirao University of Vadodara in Gujarat. His area of expertise including lithic analysis, experimental archaeology, and stable isotope analysis. Sir also conduct lithic knapping workshops and deliver technical talk for undergraduate and postgraduate students of archaeology and anthropology and different universities and colleges in India. His research is particularly focused on the understanding efficacy of prepared food and getting humans craft and using their tools. Through his work, Sir continued to shed light on the technological intelligence and creativity of our earliest ancestors. We are truly privileged to have Dr. Sasison with us today to share stone tool technology and experimental mapping. On behalf of the department, I extend a warm welcome to him and express our gratitude for accepting our invitation and invite him to deliver his lecture.
Hello. Acha, and that is for recording. Okay. Is it on? एक बार देखें. Okay. ये वाला एक दो लाइन. Good morning, everyone. So, thank you for the invitation, and it's my immense pleasure to present the talk and to give a basic hands-on training to you guys later on. So, this is a technical talk. Technical talk means I will be talking about what are the technicalities when we talk about stone tool and why we do need to do the experimental napping. So when we talk about the basics of napping, there are few details which we have to take care of. It's not changing. Is it range? Yeah, it will be difficult because there are too many animations. Hmm? Okay, one second. Okay, if but we can try after that. Hmm? Okay, that's fine. पीछे कर देते हैं. Slide. So whenever we talk about the basics of napping, so there is a term called conchoidal fracture. So whenever one stone is striking to another stone, there we produce a conchoidal fracture. This is the example of that. Can you press next? So conchoidal fracture is nothing. Basically, whenever if you throw a marble or any stone on a glass window, you will see this kind of structure that is forming. That is your conchoidal fracture. This is a cone type of formation that will form, and that you can also imagine whenever you are throwing a pebble into the pond or river, so the ripple marks that goes, so basically that will dip and it will produce a pond. So that will be the basics of your stone tool napping which you will see. So the idea of a ball bearing or basic marble is the marble striking a window is a perfect cone is punched out. So today we will see that a perfect cone will come out that is known as the Hergian cone. Okay, this is the basics. Okay, whenever you are talking about stone tool, the Hergian cone will be the main thing that you will be producing whenever you are doing the stone tool mapping. Next. So another thing which you have to take care of whenever you are mapping is the raw material. So raw material, you have different kind of raw material. You have sandstone, you have quartzite, you have porcelainite, you have chert, you have chalcedony, but not all the material are suitable. Okay, so you have to take care of the material. So there are different properties of material. It can be homogeneous. Homogeneous is the best material. Homogeneous means if you are talking about clay, sand, and silt, it is made up of only single material. Okay, so either it is sand and silt or either it is the clay. So if it is made up of only one material, then we will call it homogeneous material, and that is best suitable for your napping. It can be heterogeneous also. Sometimes if you are a good napper, you can work with it, but most of the time it is difficult, especially for the newcomers who are just trying their hands on napping. It is difficult to nap the heterogeneous raw material. So another like your limestone that can be brittle if you are breaking it and it is just shattering. That is not good for your making your stone tools. And another is elasticity of the raw material. So if your raw material is elastic enough, so then you can produce long and big flakes. And then we have different type of stone tool methods by which you can produce the stone tools. Next. So first is hard hammer. Hard hammer is nothing. It is just a kind of term which usually confuses the student. Hard hammer is something whenever you are striking. Hammer is something that it is a pebble that is made up of stone. That is your hard hammer. This will be harder than your raw material which you are flaking. Okay. One will be your hammer, one will be your raw material. Whenever you are flaking, that is your hard hammer percussion. Next, then comes the soft hammer. Soft hammer is something when you, instead of using stone, you will use either bone, either deer antler, or sometime wood. Okay, if that material you are using for flaking, that is your soft hammer percussion. Next, then you have pressure technique. Pressure technique is something when you are holding a hammer in your hand, you are applying the pressure on your core and a flake you are removing. Basically, for retouching, this is the method by which retouches are done. You might have heard the term retouch in your middle Paleolithic onwards. Okay, and for making points, for making arrow, this kind of pressure technique is used. Next. Then we have passive hammer. Passive hammer is something when your hammer is stable. There is a block of stone on which you are hitting your raw material. That is your passive hammer. Your hammer is not moving. Instead, your raw material is moving. That will see what are these techniques in practical. Then we have bipolar. Bipolar is a interesting method. This is usually utilized in later time period, most of the time in the microlithic time periods or Mesolithic time period when you are producing small blades. Okay, so you will take a core and there will be a platform below, and you will strike a hammer, and this core will open into two parts. That is your bipolar. Next, we'll go into the detail. Then your punch technique. Okay, punch technique is something. If you have seen blades, so blades after 10,000 years onwards in the Holocene are usually produced with the punch technique. You will hold a core, you will place a bone or bone punch or antler punch, and then you will strike it. So that is type of indirect percussion. Okay. The rest of them are direct percussion. Another, the punch technique is your indirect percussion. You are not directly hitting the core. Instead, you are putting a punch in between. Next. So yeah, this is the example of direct and indirect percussion. This is your core. You are using a hammer and then you are hitting it. This is your direct percussion. This is your indirect percussion. This is a core, blade core. You are producing a putting a punch in between, and then you are using a hammer. Okay, so we'll see these two techniques. And then you have pressure flaking. You have a flake. You want to turn it into a arrowhead or some other point. Then you can use it. This is your bipolar. This core was this complete, and then you put a hammer anvil on below, and you strike it. It will split into two equal parts most of the time. Next. So first technique is your block on anvil. So what this technique is, basically you will hold a raw material. There will be a block below, and you will just directly with your bare hand you will hit it, and a flake will come out, and that flake will be sharp enough to for you to use to cut the meat, to cut the grasses, to cut down the tree. This is just the basic definition. I'm not going to read it. You can take the photograph. What it is efficient for removing the large flake. If you don't know the definition of large flake is a flake which is more than 10 centimeter long. Okay, which is bigger than 10 centimeter. That is the criteria of a large flake. Next, suitable for producing heavy duty tools. Heavy duty tools means we are producing big hand axes or big cleavers. Okay, so this kind of block on anvil technique is suitable for that. It is very simple and require minimal precision. So whenever you are removing big flakes, in this you are just taking a core and hitting it randomly. You don't know where you are hitting. you just have a block and you don't know where the striking platform will be. So you are just hitting. So it is very minimal type of flaking. Everybody can do it. Okay, very newcomers can also do it. Next, but there are some drawbacks also. So it is limited control over your flaking. So you don't know where the core you are hitting. So the production of the flake will be indeterminate. So it will be just your luck whether you will be producing a good flake or bad flake. So that is a kind of drawback of this technique. Next, high risk of core breakage. So when you are just pounding something on some rocks, so you don't have control over your core. Okay, so you might end up finishing or end up bashing the core that you are not able to take out flake anymore from that core. Next. Less suitable for making finer tool. Finer tool means when you see bifacial hand axis, very refined, thin bifacial hand axis, that you can't produce with this technique. Okay, so you need different kind of technique for that. So this can be your one of the earliest techniques. Okay, that hominin might have utilized. Then comes your freehand technique. Freehand technique is something in block on anvil, your both hands are occupied. But in freehand technique, your both hands are free. In one hand, you will be holding the core. In another hand, you will be holding the hammer. So both the hands are free and you can manage the core accordingly. Next. This is just the definition. What is freehand technique? What it does is it maximizes the raw material and reducing the waste. So raw material you can maximize. You can use it to the maximum extent. Okay. Simple and require minimal to making napping skills. It is not that simple, but who is an expert napper? This is a very simple technique. But there are some drawback also. Difficult to open pebbles and cobble requiring significant force. So whenever you have a rounded cobble, so removing, opening that will be very difficult for your freehand technique. In that you have to utilize the block on anvil technique first, and then you can come for the freehand technique. Hard to maintain angular edges of the core, reducing precision. So freehand technique, most of the time, most of you people will be doing this mistake today. That you will be hitting anywhere, and at the end you will come to me and you will say, "Sir, flake nahi nikal raha hai abhi." So that will happen. So this is one of the drawback. So you will end up messing with your core, and you will not be able to take out more flakes. Okay. Next. This is bipolar. We can have the definition. This is anvil, this is your pebble, and on this you will strike the hammer. So you will split it into two parts, and after splitting into two parts, you can take out microblades. Okay. Next. Next. Okay. This technique is useful for working on small and stubborn cores. So when you have small chalcedony core for making microlith, you will need a smaller core. For opening that, you won't be able to break it into your bare hand. So what you will do, you will put it into on a block, and on top of it, you will hit it with a hammer. Something like most of the time, if you eat walnuts, you directly not open walnuts. So you usually hit it, right? And then walnut will open and you eat the walnut. So similarly, this is the same kind of technique to open up the pebble. Okay. So this is the different technology when you are talking about when these technology, what is the earliest technology of hominin in the world. So we have here you can see Africa, India, and below Europe. So we have oldest technology for now is Lomecrian. Okay, Lomecrian, that is dated back to 3.3 million years. Okay, and then we have old one. For Lomecrian, we have only one site for now, but old one we have many sites. Old one in Africa is dated back to 2.9 million years, but in India it is contested. Some people believe in India there is old one dated back to 2.6 or 2 million years, but some scholars disagree also. Acheulean, when you and also these are the associated species with these technology. Lomicvian is associated with Kenanthropus platyops. Then we have old one associated with Homo habilis or Paranthropus. Then we have Acheulean, significantly associated with Homo erectus, and giving you the first out of Africa model. Then Acheulean in Africa dated back to 1.7, and in India it is dated back to 1.5 million years. Okay, so 1.5 million years it is the site of Atirampakkam, and if you will see, there is hardly any difference between Africa and India in terms of date. Okay, then we have MSA, that is your Middle Stone Age.